Welcome back, y'all, to the Indian Stuff Show. We're here in my backyard, coming to you live from my backyard. I just came back from a really awesome trip, and I want to get more into like the travel influencer sphere, I guess, or at least just give you guys the real scoop on traveling, how much things cost, how we do it, etc. And I thought it'd be fun to talk about the trip while I do my nails, because I just got this new little nail kit for $6 at TJ Maxx. So we're going to do some nails. It's going to be Monday manicure, Monday mani, tea time with me. So without further ado, hope you can hear the crickets. And if we lose sunlight, not my fault. That'd be on God. So anyway, let's jump in. All right, first things first, I'm going to have to take my old nail polish off. So on this trip, I like to feel fancy and everyone loves a good manicure, but I didn't really want to pay the money. So I usually bring my stuff with me, like a couple polish colors and like my little travel manicure kit. And I brought it with me and we did our manicures at our Airbnb. But we accidentally did them right before bed. So you can see if you're watching, I like slept on them and they got all crinkly. You know what I mean? It feels like there's like imprints in your nails. So we don't want that. So I'm going to redo them right now. And yeah, this nail kit was at TJ Maxx for $6. So I have low expectations. I don't think it's going to be great, but the packaging is so cute. And they had the colors that I was wanting. I wanted like a couple pinks. And I was like, all right, either I buy a bottle of OPI for $11 or I just try this out for a few bucks and we'll just see what happens. But anyway, hi, I hope your day is great. We are going to chat today about my recent trip to Banff, Alberta, Canada. Banff, y'all, first of all, amazing place, like nature-wise. So stunning, so pretty. I feel a little singe of guilt because it was on Ian's bucket list for forever. It still is, because I wasn't able to, he wasn't able to come with me this time. And so I'm pretty bummed that we didn't get to share it together because even I was texting him pictures and now that I'm back home, he's like, I'm so jealous. I wish I could have gone, And I understand. It'd be like if he went to one of my bucket list places without me and was just texting pictures the whole time. It's like, oh my gosh, so rude. But I went because I'm obviously a wedding photographer full time. And my friend is a wedding planner. And we connected earlier this year and teamed up on a project. We were like, hey, we kind of make a good team. Maybe we could do some more work together. And so she and her colleague were planning a trip out to Banff anyway. And they were like, hey, what if you come out and we'll just plan a styled shoot together? Because she's obviously on the planning side of weddings and could use the content from a professional photographer of what, weddings look like in the portfolio. And I love that kind of content too. It's very helpful for me as well. Also just to get more experience doing destination weddings and some of that in my portfolio. So she was like, hey, if you come out to Banff, why don't we team up and do a styled shoot together? And then we'll both have the content we need and it's a win-win. And I was like, heck yeah. So we started planning this probably 8 or 9 months ago. Maybe not that far, maybe more like 6. But then we had kind of really had our eyes set on this one specific venue. It's called the Fairmont Banff Springs. It's a very iconic, historical, huge, chateau. It's a very nice looking hotel that has the money shot of Lake Louise. And there's another location overseeing, I think it's Bow Springs. It's just beautiful. People get married there. It's got this stunning spa. It's amazing. But it's $6,000 for a week to stay there. And the weddings are probably equally as pricey. So when she reached out, they kind of said yes, but they were like, yes, but later because we were going to go in August and August was their pretty heavy, month. So they were like, could you come later in the year? And we were like, no, we kind of already have the tickets booked. So we pivoted and there's a brand new wedding venue that was just finishing its construction when my wedding planner friend reached out. And they were like, yeah, we'd love to have you guys, come on down. You can use our space. So then we hired some models. We got a dress designer to partner with us. We got a florist. And we did a styled shoot, and it was amazing. It was so cool. It was beautiful. And this is not my first time doing them. I've hosted my own content day before. I've paid a lot of money to attend other styled shoots. But this, I think, was my first time being the only, no, that's not true, but being the only photographer, I guess, in such a bigger destination space. Usually it's a couple photographers or a content day where everyone pays to be there. But I was like the exclusive photographer, so that was really fun. So that's kind of how the plan got started. And when we had formed the plan, obviously this was more like a my business trip kind of thing, because this is for work, this is for portfolio, this is for networking connections. So it didn't really make sense for Ian to come unless he, wanted to do film stuff for me. But when we booked the trip, he had a different job and was like, oh man, I don't think I'll get the vacation time. So I was like, no worries, like, that's fine. We're going to do our thing. You do your thing. But then if you've listened to recent episodes, you now know all the tea with that. So he's really bummed because he, was here, not working that other job. He was working. He was getting some projects rolling, but you know what I mean? Like, just kind of a bummer to be like, oh, now there's nothing standing in the way really. And there's no time restraint. And I was like, bye, I'm going to go to your bucket list place. See you. But yeah, so we planned the trip. Amber of Amber Hansen Events was the wedding planner I worked with. And she's just a great gal, super, super organized, and an amazing person if you're looking for a wedding planner. So she and her associate Taylor met me there in Banff. And let me just set the stage a little bit for you. I was in Michigan recently, meeting my niece for the first time and visiting some of my siblings who live up there. And then the week went by. I did a lot of work, had a lot of things to catch up on. I can't even think about what happened the week prior. I'm not sure. And then we shot a wedding on Saturday, August 3rd. See what month are we in? We shot a wedding Saturday, August 3rd. And then Sunday I packed up and we had lunch with Ian's parents. Oh, that's right. Our car. I think I mentioned this in a previous podcast, but if I didn't, it's officially dead. So that's good. Our good car, the one that's mine, of the two, like the one I bought at the end of college, not that old. It's only a decade old and it's over 200,000 miles. So I get it. But like, I just feel like it was frustrating that it happened so soon. But literally right before this trip, my car officially bit the dust, and the guy said it was the transmission, and he wants at least $2,000 to fix it. And we just put about $2,000 in last year, and we had just put $400 in this summer. So we said, no, I only paid $6,500 for this thing. I'm not going to keep pouring $2,000-3,000 every year. Sorry. So unfortunately, Sven is his name. If you were wondering, 2014 Chevy Malibu, champagne color. Sven is no more. And Ian took out the alternator that we had just bought and went back to return it because they said they would. So praise the Lord for that. Save us a couple $100. And so now Sven is sitting in front of our house, dead. Sorry if you can hear that. Someone driving through the neighborhood like a crazy person. I think it's time for a color. Which color do we think, y'all? Blink twice. I honestly feel bubblegum pink, but that might be a little too cheery. So maybe I'll try this like more muted pink, this guy. Okay. I have to get rolling too because my battery is not going to last forever. All right. So that's what happened right before I left for Banff. I told you all the money troubles we've been going through, all this shocking twists and turns with Ian's employment, and just feeling like we're getting kicked in the pants. And then my car bit the dust. So we had to borrow Ian's parents' car for a few days. And then right before we left for the trip, we had to return it. So I was packing up. Then I rushed out to meet them at lunch, give them their car back. Ian dropped me off at the airport, and I flew from Ohio to Toronto to Calgary. And then we landed in Calgary at, probably 12 12 o'clock-ish. It was like 11:45 p.m. because my flight not only got delayed an hour, but then we were stuck on the tarmac for an hour for no apparent reason. And then Amber and Taylor, the two gals who are part of this trip with me, that is such a cute color. I like that. I used to hate pink as a kid because I thought it was lame to be a girl that liked pink because then I'd be just like everyone else. But now I love it. And look, it's so soft. I love that aqueous touch. Pop off. Okay. So then I land. And at this point, there's also a time difference. So at this point, I've traveled all day. I shot a wedding the day before. I actually shot 2 weddings because my associate team was doing one. I had to go pick up the cards from them. So like my team shot 2 weddings total. So then I'm like tired. There's like a 2-hour difference. Flew across North America. And I get there at basically midnight. Amber and Taylor pick me up. And then we have an 1.5-hour drive to our Airbnb. And I would have fallen asleep, but I like still networking with these gals. I don't really know them that well. There's just a lot of trust when you're like, yeah, I'll just fly across the country and just like hop in your Airbnb for the week. Let's go. But it's fine. So we did that. And Taylor's sweet doggo, George, was with us. He's a Chihuahua wiener dog. And he was so sweet. And we chatted the whole drive. Ooh, that's cute. That's a cute color. I have low expectations still, but it's hopefully looking a little better than I anticipated. And then we got to the Airbnb. I still, I'm seeing absolutely nothing because it's pitch black when we get in. It's nighttime and I'm just trusting that they are good drivers because I'm like, all right, I'm just sitting in the back of a Jeep. Also, fun fact, Taylor, one of the 2 gals, she drove across the country in her Jeep throughout the summer. So she went from Cincinnati in May at actually a wedding I was working, and then the next day took off and traveled the entire country and then picked us up in her actual vehicle in Canada. So like she has been on the road all summer. So all her camping stuff was in there. And like, she's just such a trooper. And I was like, dang girl, like, thanks for picking me up. This whole 1.5 hours is like a bummer. And she's like, no, I've driven like hundreds and thousands of hours and miles all summer. I'm like, oh, okay. So anyway, they pick me up. I don't know why I keep saying us. I guess I'm like wishing that Ian was there with me. But they pick me up and then we get to the Airbnb and I just completely pass out because by the time we get there, it's about 2:45 a.m. local time, which means about 4:45 a.m. for me. And again, having shot a wedding the day before, I was very tired. This looks like bubblegum. I think it's cute. Okay, so then we slept in until about 10, and I was grateful for that. Also, if you've ever traveled with like people you don't really know well, or just friends, I guess, in general, like not your spouse or partner, you know what I mean when it's like, you might have a little anxiety because it's like, how are they going to travel? Are you guys going to get along? Especially people you like barely know. And I like barely know these people. Like I met Taylor one time and I met Amber in person like twice. And we've had a couple calls. Like I trust her. I know her, as best as you can know a peer. But yeah, we are not like, besties from forever ago or anything, like still very new people. So anyway, I was so grateful that we all kind of travel similarly and like right away, the things that I would have wanted to do the first day after waking up, like on that first day of a trip, they were right along for, which I was so grateful for. So like we slept in till about 10, wake up and they're like, let's go get coffee. I'm like, yes, praise the Lord. Go to this place to grab coffee and a pastry. And then we're like, let's go hit a trail. And I'm like, yes, like, let's do it. So I was very happy that like we kind of all traveled the same. We all 3 wanted to like spend a little money on nice meals and go out to bars and, try a few local things, but also was totally fine with coming back and doing manicures in bed and doing drinks at the Airbnb to save a little. So I'm really happy for that. But yeah, so first day we went to this place called, I'm going to give my recommendations too, by the way, in case you're planning a trip for Banff. I have a whole highlight on my India and Stuff Instagram that I'm saving all of my recs, the things we got, the food we ate, the trails we went on. So if you are looking to travel, that'll be your, Spark Notes version of this. But I'll just kind of shout out a few things as I remember them. We stayed in an Airbnb basically a motel in Calgary. And, 5 minutes down the way is Calgary's town, which is really great. Wait, no, it's not Calgary. It was Canmore. Canmore. I recommend staying in Canmore or Banff as opposed to Calgary, because that's the 1.5-hour drive away. So scratch that. So we stayed in Canmore, and right down the way was Eclipse Coffee. That's where we had coffee the first day. And I ordered a steak and Gruyere, little like pastry looking thing. It kind of looked like a quiche, but it was like a pot pie. And, I'm still waking up in Canada. I'm like, oh, I'm on the other side of the country, or North America. That's wild. And I get that and a small, I guess their largest latte was a 12-ounce. And she rings me up and goes, okay, that'll be $20. And I was like, for a pastry and a latte? Like, I knew prices were getting expensive, but like, is the pastry alone $15? And so I was like, oh my gosh, like rude awakening to Canadian prices, I guess. And so I scanned my card and kind of made a comment when I was going back out to the car, and they were like, oh, it'll convert down. And I was like, what? And so thankfully I looked at my bank statement later, and because of the conversion of American currency to Canadian, it was like $14.75. So I was like, oh, okay, like that's not as bad, but still it was like $8.50 for a pastry and $6 for the latte. But it was just a little much at first, and it is still expensive. Like in general, if you're going to Banff, be prepared, it is more expensive overall, but keep in mind that conversion down kind of helps you out a little bit. But either way, so I will say the pastry I got was absolutely delicious. Coffee was great. Woo! Coffee was great, just small. But then we went to Bow Falls, I believe. And you kind of can see that the Fairmont Banff Springs in the background. Really easy, small trail, just kind of a great one for pictures. And I got to start seeing the mountains and just getting used to the fact of where I was. Then we went over and decided to hike. I think it was, I'm going to forget. It's like Saint something ravine or cliff or stream, or I don't remember. It's on my story for sure. But we went on a little trail that was about 3.5 miles, and it was very pretty, very fun. We did bring George, even though all the signs said dogs will be eaten by bears, basically. They were like, don't bring a dog, don't bring a dog, don't bring a dog. We brought George because it wasn't my dog, wasn't my decision. But all was well. Thankfully, he was a good boy. No bears found us. Something else to prepare for, though. There are black bears and grizzly bears in Banff National Park and in that whole area, as there should be. I mean, it's nature, but I think the only place I had been where there are grizzly bears was Alaska a few years ago. And I think, we were mostly indoors since we were filming in Alaska in the winter, that it wasn't a huge concern of mine. But being out there during bear season, during, these trails where the trails weren't heavily populated at all, really, because there had been some wildfires recently and bad weather on this forecast. So not very many tourists were there, kind of scary. But we did have bear spray, so that's a good thing. And we, follow all the other rules, like keep your food in your bags, make sure you're not leaving any trash behind. So anyway, it was great, though. We did this nice hike and landed at this little creek side. It was very beautiful. A couple other folks were there. We had our lunches. Very peaceful. Just kind of everywhere you looked was Yosemite on steroids or Colorado on steroids. It was just beautiful mountain views everywhere. Really, really lush pine trees. It was stunning. Stewart Canyon. That's the name of the hike. There you go. Stewart Canyon. So then we wrap up that, start making our way back. And right when we kind of get pretty close to our car in the parking lot, it starts to rain. So very good timing on that. No thunderstorm, just rain. Then we go back to our motel and decide to change and get ready for dinner. And so this is my first dinner in town, first dinner of the trip. And we picked this place called the Iron Goat. Got changed, got all cutesy, walk outside, and there are the darkest storm clouds I think I've ever seen. very, very dark, very ominous. And I instantly see lightning go shit and like hit what looks like the top of one of the mountains. And I'm like, great, this better be a close restaurant. So thankfully it was less than a 10-minute drive. We get over there, get our table indoors, and there's a patio. And while we're sitting ordering drinks, it starts thundering, lightning, and hailing. Like I'm not kidding, like this size of this size, like, quarter size hail starts falling down. I'm like, wow, like we are not in Ohio. Like we are up north and this is normal for these people. The waiters were like completely unbothered. They were like, yeah, it's a storm. I'm like, okay. That was crazy. And then we order some stuff. I'll just say I didn't love their food. I really liked the French dip sandwich we got, and I liked my maple old fashioned, but I didn't really like the other things we ordered. So take with that what you will. No one's paying me to say any of this. I'm not sponsored yet. So that was the end of that night. Then we went home and did some DIY drinks and did our nails. It was fun. The next day 2, I got to speed this up. I only got 15 more minutes of battery. Day 2. Also, there's a lot of French being spoken in Canada, which I think I knew in my brain. But I didn't realize that it feels like most Canadians, that was their primary language, was French. Enchanté. Bonjour. I was like, that's pretty cool. So anyway, day 2 was the shoot day. So we had to get fed decently early, which was no problem because I was already exhausted. And we'd already done a hike and already had dinner and already done some sightseeing. So then, thankfully, we booked our motel right next door to the brand new venue. And when I say motel, it was like a nice one. Like it was like dressed up and painted all cute and had some cute art in it to make it feel like a, fun little Airbnb. And not 1% of me ever felt sketchy. It was like very vibey, and all the other people staying were like hikers, and it was fun. But it was right next door to the venue. So we go over there and get started first thing. And right away, it's like, okay, now I'm a professional photographer again. You know what I mean? Like, who cares about the nature surviving the bear spray? Now we're back to being a luxury wedding photographer. There was models. I think they were Ukrainian. They were amazing. There was the dress designer, fantastic. I will have all these tags too on my professional page, India Jade Photo. So please give them some love. Follow these vendors. They were fantastic. The venue itself was called The Gem in Banff. Stunning. The views of the mountains are insane. So we get started. They brought us some Tim Hortons coffee, which I thought was very cute, very on brand. And we start photographing everything. It was amazing. And then one of the models, the guy was like, pulling us aside. He's like, I'm going to propose, through a thick Ukrainian accent. We were like, what? And he's like, I'm going to propose to my girlfriend right now. And we were like, whoa, like, that's amazing. I'm here to photograph it. But like, she is in a wedding dress. Do you think you want to do that now, or maybe outside? We could switch dresses. We'd kind of been forming this plan with him. And we said, do you want to do it outside near the mountains? As in like, yes, your girlfriend would probably want to be proposed to, and not in a white dress, but in a different dress outside in the mountains. And he's like, yeah, near the mountains. Then I guess the Ukrainian to English translation must not have been solid, because then we go outside while they're in the wedding clothes and he just proposes. And I was like, whoa, there's a sky. There's kind of a mountain behind you, but that's not what I was thinking. But it was fine. It was so cute. And I think she was really happy and surprised. And I was like, great, they're engaged. So we did end up switching their outfits at the end and taking them to a park to do a couple photos with the mountains behind. But yeah, I hope that they're happy. So that was fun, but just like a fun little surprise. Then we wrapped up the shoot. And what was fun about it as well is when I posted initially about going to Banff, we didn't know if we could hire models or what our budgets were just yet. So some friends of mine, Abby and Michael, were like, hey, that's near our 1-year anniversary when you go on that trip. What if we just flew out just so you have some people to photograph, while you're there? We were like, heck yeah. So they actually flew out specifically to be there with us, and they're photographers as well. So I was like, yeah, why don't you guys, model, but feel free to take any photos you want as well, and video. And so they were participating and got all done up with hair and makeup, and We got to do some of them, which was fun to have someone from home that we kind of knew. So after the shoot, very long day, my feet were killing me. We're like, let's go get some much needed lunch. So all 5 of us, Taylor, Amber, myself, Abby, and Michael, went to a great restaurant called Bridgett Bar in Canmore. Highly recommend. We went at happy hour, so all the pizzas and all the drinks were half off. Amazing. So we got one of every pizza. The pizzas were fantastic. They were like 12-inch, but like great for sharing, great personal size. And I had 2 cocktails because they were half off. But the one I really, really liked was the Cruel Summer. So go there. It was awesome. And randomly, the waiter was Australian. There's also a lot of Australians in Canada. I didn't know that. And he thought that it was someone's birthday, even though it was no one's birthday, and just like randomly brought us a piece of pie and saying happy birthday to Michael, the like dude that was with us. And so I was like, okay, great. But then he made us pay for it. Like usually like, bring someone out like a dessert. We're like, oh my gosh, what a blessing. Like, yay, free dessert. And maybe he like meant to take it off the bill, but none of us realized until after we had swiped our cards. And we're like, wait, he charged us for the free pie that we didn't ask for that was for no one's birthday. So anyway, that was expensive pie too. But yeah, so that was Bridgett Bar. Again, great restaurant overall. Then after that, we went to Banff Upper Hot Springs. Oh, delicious. Unfortunately, not like, when you think of the man-made or the natural made hot springs, not like that, but it was really nice. It was definitely man-made. It was in like the actual hot water was from nature, but then it was in an enclosed pool. Could be a little crowded at times, I could see, but we went, it was a little drizzly. We weren't sure how the rain was going to hold off, but it was great. About 17 Canadian bucks a person. So translates to about $13 in US money, which I think is totally worth it for what you get. Like really nice, warm, hot springs. We stayed in for about an hour and 20. And it started like drizzling, which kind of felt good to have the cold and the hot, really cute little view of the mountains. So it was really good. And it felt, you guys, photographers or vendors, if you're being on your feet all day, it felt amazing after that. Also, color update. I actually really like this polish. I think I got a steal. Okay, so that was the end of day 2. I think we got snacks or something on the way home. I think we were good after that. Yeah. So then the next day, we were not done photographing because, again, this was a photography trip. So we were like, we're going to make the most of this thing. So we get up at 4:30 a.m. and convince Abby and Michael, who were staying all the way out in Calgary, we convinced them to drive to Banff and meet us at Lake Louise, which is in the national park, at sunrise. And sunrise is at 6:15 a.m. So they're down because they're amazing. And we're down. We just get up at the butt crack of dawn and drive into the park. And even though we had a parks pass, you still have to pay $39 to park your car at Lake Louise, which I thought was a little weird, but whatever. It's worth it. It's for the vibes, for the view. So we get there and it's cloudy and it's overcast and there's no sunshine, but we're there at like 5:45 a.m. But you would not believe how many people were there too. I was kind of proud of people. Like the tourists got up for this one because it is, it's one that's really hyped up. So go to Lake Louise at sunrise. Abby and Michael show up. We do some amazing photos for them in their wedding clothes. It's feeling like their, vow renewal kind of thing, their 1 year of marriage. It was to die for. I cannot wait to post these photos. Then basically we wrap that up. We go on a hike all together. We let them change, obviously. And we went on the Teahouse Trail hike, I think it's called, at Lake Louise. So please do this if you go. It was very worth it, very much worth it. The views were amazing. The water's bright teal blue. It's like undescribably amazing. And we go on this little hike. I think it was around 3 miles round trip, 3.5. Pretty steep overall. Like, starting it out was pretty steep and just kind of like, I wasn't in shape. So I think we were all kind of feeling it because we also had a crazy day before. But it's a beautiful hike and you see Mirror Lake and Lake Agnes along the way. So you're getting like 3 lakes for the price of one. And when you get up to the top, you go up basically to kind of a summit area where there's a waterfall. You see Lake Agnes, Devil's Thumb in the distance, and there's a tea house where you can get not cupcakes, you can get cake, sandwiches, soup, and tea. You get little snacks. And it was so cool. And so we get the snacks. I got tea, vegetable soup, and I think I got blueberry cobbler, but I had like one bite and then I had to like bring it back down because I didn't finish it. But I think I left it there. I don't know if we ended up eating it, but oh well. But what I thought was so funny and interesting, we were like talking to the servers. We're like, wait, how does this work? Like, do you guys live up here? What's the vibe? And she was like, we work 3-day shifts at a time and they hike up the 3-mile trail up the mountain to go to work, stay for 3 days, and then hike back down. That's like their job. Like, that's what they do. And I think that was so cool. And then they were like, hey, by the way, there's a fire ban right now because the forest fire is not too far away. So can you hike your trash back down the mountain with you? And I was like, this is awesome. This is some different level of sustainability. And I'm here for it. So we hiked our trash back down, finished the time there at Lake Louise. Amazing. Again, so great. And then I think we wrapped up and went off to find food or something. I kind of can't remember what we ended up doing for food, but I don't know. We went back to the Airbnb at one point, got dressed up, and went back into town for dinner. And this is where things got interesting. We went to a place, there was a brewery, so brewery food. We had some poutine, which is like, the Canadian food, and I wanted to try it. It's like gravy on French fries with cheese curds. I thought it was okay, not my favorite. And then I got an elk burger and a beer. I'm pretty sure the elk burger, maybe some of the poutine, gave me food poisoning, because after that, my tummy was just not feeling great. Just wasn't feeling good overall. We walked around, did a little sightseeing, got dessert, and I just was like, okay. Then the next morning, that's when it really hit. We had breakfast and at a local diner. It was perfect vibe, absolutely perfect homegrown vibes. I had eggs Benedict with like bacon and tomato. Maybe it was that, but I really don't think it was. And then we went thrifting. I have to speed this up. We went thrifting and I instantly felt my stomach turn. I was like, oh no, I have to get to the bathroom like ASAP. And thankfully there's some public restrooms down the way, but there's also a line. So we sprint down and I just feel my stomach turn. And thankfully, by the grace of God, guys, I was praying that I didn't shart myself. I literally like obliterated the toilet multiple times. It was atrocious. It was disgusting. You didn't need to know that. You didn't need to know, but now you know. And then I would join my group again, let them know what happened. We have a good laugh. And I'm glad that's over. Not even 20 minutes later, I'm back in the bathroom. This occurred 5 times that day. Thankfully, all the photo shoots were over. We weren't on a trail when this happened because I don't know what I would have done if I was just, shitting in the forest. But it was bad. So, yeah, I think it was a little bit of food poisoning or something just was off about that, the poutine or the elk burger. But I wanted to try new food. I'm traveling. I wanted to try something new. So I tried 2 new foods. And look what it did to my tummy. Then I, devoured some Tums. We tried another restaurant for dinner. I had 3 bites of the chicken sandwich and was back to the bathroom. So that's why I'm thinking it might have been food poisoning, but I had a really bad bout with food poisoning this past March. So it didn't feel that bad. Like I wasn't vomiting, thankfully, but it wasn't staying in. Yeah. So now that you know that you didn't want to know, that's fun. Then we kind of had a chill night in, did a little thrift tourist shopping, got some souvenirs. I got the coziest Banff hoodie. I'm really excited about it. I got this hat for Ian and I stole it for today. And then we, wrapped up everything and had our last morning there. We got some bagels. And then we tried to be crafty. We're like, you know what, let's try to go kayaking one more time before this is all over. So on my last day, when I had to fly out, I had to be at the airport at like 12:30. No, 2:30. No, 12:30. 12:30. We were like, let's get up early, get bagels and coffee. I got a green tea because I wasn't going to chance anything. and let's go kayaking. So we did. We went to one of the lakes. I can't pronounce it. I don't want to butcher the name. I'll make sure it's in my tags. And we paid $47 per person for 1 hour of a kayak rental, but completely worth it. The water was still, hardly anyone was there. Amazing time to just pray, reflect, enjoy. Did some kayaking for about an hour. And I think that was just such a fun memory to be like, yeah, I'm getting on a plane in a few hours, but I'm here on the lake. So it was just awesome. So we kayaked around, came back, hopped in the car. I used the restroom again, and then immediately made our way to the airport in Calgary, which is an hour and a half drive. I changed my clothes, got through the security line, went through customs, and then boarded a plane back home. And I went from Calgary to Washington, D.C. to Columbus, landed at about midnight, and then, unpacked everything with Ian while I was chomping on my Tums, drinking my ginger ales. And then the next day we slept in until 1 p.m., which felt amazing, before heading to a friend's wedding in Cincinnati. And now I'm here. So that's basically my last 6 days. But it was worth every second. Banff is so beautiful. I can't even describe. It's just a remarkable place. Very, very amazing. I would definitely do a few things different next time. There's a couple of restaurants I'd want to try, a couple bigger trails I think I'd do, but I couldn't have asked for a better work week. Like, are you kidding? Like, what a blessing to be able to be like, yeah, I'm just working. This is my work day. What the heck? So please go if you're curious at all, and DM me if you have any questions about it or want recommendations. But yeah, I'm gonna let this pink nail dry, and I'll do one more coat. But for now, have a great day. Go explore nature. I hope you get into God's creation this week, y'all. Love ya. Thanks for listening. Woo! Bye.